but it's very, very, very labor intensive. Like the gazebo, it weighs about 50 kg. Now, I weigh 50 kg and I like to think Mango's gym and all that, but but it's tough. It's tough. I can do it by myself, but it definitely helps to have someone setting up the equipment with you. You know, I'm carrying really heavy duty metal tables back and forth. And the other thing is with street food, we live in the UK. Yeah. Everyone knows it's not sunny every day. It's freezing cold, it's dark in the mornings. You just have to be resilient. It's just not glamorous at all. And I think people get into street food, they've heard about the sort of street food success.
Hi, welcome to Blacticulate, a podcast series featuring UK young black professionals, where we find out how they do what they do, so you can too. Or not. After all, it is your life. What up? I haven't actually said that in ages. Do you know the
Did
Kevin
that feel so good?
Yeah, it did. It really did. Guys, season 2. Whoop, whoop. I don't know when I could stop saying that we're officially 2 years old, but we're officially 2 years old. And to celebrate that, we launched a YouTube channel. Nice. So yeah, please subscribe to that. If this is the first time you guys are coming to Blacticulate, thank you. Welcome. Blacticulate, really and truly, it's all about featuring UK young black professionals, where we try and find out how they do what they do, so we all can, so you can. Fee, say hi.
Hi, everyone.
Hey. This is the first time you're doing a sort of conversation interview, right?
First time ever, yeah.
Got you. So tell my listeners about you, who you are, what you do, and we'll just kick off from there and just have a conversation.
Okay, cool. I'm Fee, which is short for Afiya, but everybody calls me Fee.
That's a fire name, though, Afiya.
My full name is Afiya Titus. People love the surname. Yeah.
What? That is lit. Honestly, that's an amazing name. Where's it from?
So my name's actually Arabic. People think it's Ghanaian. I think born on a Friday in Ghanaian is Afiya, but it's Arabic, which means good health.
Gotcha. Are you Arabic?
I'm not. My family just confuse everyone. My brother's got a Jewish name.
Okay.
I've got an Arabic name. We don't eat pork, but we're Christian.
Excellent. I love that.
But yeah, so that's my name.
Yeah.
And I have recently left my job in the sort of the corporate city rat race to start my own healthy Caribbean food venture. It's called Lime Hut, and it's starting off in the street food space, looking at sort of how this year will progress, looking to expand.
Oh, what? You've literally just started?
Literally just started. So
Look at that. We've got an exclusive interview. Do you know, when she can look back 5 years down the line and go, yeah, my first ever interview was with Blacticulate. Look at me now, guys. Made it. Forbes list.
Feel like I've made
everything.
It already.
No, brilliant. Okay, so it did pick up on the fact that you said you were a chartered accountant. Or did you? Or did you say you were just a corporate environment and you got rid?
Yeah, but specifically, I am a chartered accountant. I say work present tense because I'm actually on a sabbatical year. So
that's smart.
Yeah.
Okay, so you haven't really jumped into the deep end of just being an entrepreneur.
I wanted to, but they actually said, look, just handing in your notice and starting a business is very risky. We want to support you in this, so why don't you take a 12-month sabbatical instead, see how it goes. If for whatever reason it's, maybe not gone as planned, come back with open arms. If it's gone very well, just remember us in the future when you need consulting or auditors. So
that's actually really encouraging.
It is encouraging. And I think big companies, whilst you can maybe get swallowed up in sort of not a chance to shine the way you can in smaller firms, they have the structure there to really support you for things like this.
Okay, so this is something that I guess a lot of people listening might also be feeling that itch to do something a bit more entrepreneurial, a bit more creative. So tell us about that journey and why you thought this was a great time to start doing it, and we'll get into the specific hows.
Yeah, so I suppose I'd been hosting sort of supper clubs and random pop-up events almost as a hobby for quite a while.
Okay.
And then some people from work came to some of my events and they were raving about it and they loved it, and the word spread quite quickly to some more senior people, and they came to my next event and they loved it. Okay. Then my supper club started to sell out, and I thought, oh, this hobby is turning into
there's actual business in
this. There's some legs here. So
Tell me about the supper club. How'd you start that? Jeez,
Honestly,
that sounds awesome.
I mean, genuinely, I've just always loved cooking. I was this weird kid that used to host dinner parties at my mum's house and my mum and dad's house. Write little menus. Like it was a real thing, like age 12.
Awesome.
I think it's kind of just extended from there. The reason why my supper clubs, which started off as Lime Hut, that's sort of Lime Hut's genesis, I guess, was the supper clubs. The reason why I went down the Healthy Caribbean route was I realised there was a slight issue in our community with diabetes and high blood pressure, and sort of all these health aspects are directly linked to our diet. And I took some colleagues from work to a local Caribbean takeaway one lunch, and they loved it. And I was like, great. And then we had this big meeting at about 2:00 that afternoon. And absolutely everyone, without exception, was like, food coma, can't concentrate. Oh my gosh, cheat day. And I thought, cheat day. They're like, oh no, it's not even Friday. What have we done? And I realized people love our food, but you can't eat that day in, day out at lunchtime when you're working like that. It's a sure recipe to get the itis, I guess.
The itis.
The itis.
Not being very productive at work.
I mean, it's
At
fine
least
on
your stomach is full.
it's fine on a Sunday, but when you're in back-to-back meetings, it's maybe not the most conducive diet. So I saw that there was an issue that needed to be addressed in terms of making sure our diet was...
But I almost still want to get into the nuances, because you really jumped there and you saw a gap. Like, obviously Caribbean food is delicious.
Yeah.
It's lit. I mean, come on. But you're right. Insofar as the health aspect, maybe there can be some changes to the ingredient to just make it more, not so heavy. But for you, you started off age 12, as you said, right? Just writing up menus and inviting people to come eat at your place.
Yeah.
Did your parents not say, wait a minute, what are you doing here? Your
No,
background?
my parents encouraged the cooking because they love food,
Yeah.
as most people do. And I did used to cook the family meal probably like once a week as a kid.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't realise that was weird until I spoke to other people that
At the
were
age of 12,
cooking for the first time when they got to university. But I mean, my mum is a bum cook, and my dad's actually really good too, but he just does it like once a year. He's like, Christmas is my day.
Okay, gotcha.
But I had two working parents, and it was something I enjoyed, so I took it on as one of my chores. I think I negotiated that I didn't have to do the dishwasher if I got to cook.
Oh, really? Okay,
instead.
awesome.
So it was like kind of like one of my chores once a week. The kitchen has just always been the soul of my home growing up.
That's awesome. And I get it from a passion perspective, almost as, when I say passion, it's almost like your lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
How comes then you didn't pursue it? Like you didn't go to chef school, you didn't do all of that instead?
Yeah, so I think, I don't think I was ever sort of taught to think about something I could do outside of the typical trodden path that was sort of set out, that, you know, you go to school, you get your A grades, you go to a good uni, you then get a corporate job, whether that's in law, as a doctor, or in finance. And I just feel like at home and at school, that's all that was ever taught to me and told to me. I actually even remember my sixth form tutor told us, I went to an all-girls school.
Okay.
He said...
Give it a shout-out. Why not? In case anyone's listening to it. And they're like, what? Who's on? Okay.
Yeah, well, Queen Anne's, I don't think anyone would have heard of it. It's a pretty small school in Berkshire.
How dare you? I've got people in all different spaces. How dare you?
Just mean it's a tiny school.
All I'm saying is you don't know about Blacticulate. We put people on. Nah, joking.
Yeah, well, my sixth form tutor said, girls... One thing to really consider is law as a profession is great because they're really good for maternity leave.
Okay.
And at the time I was like, great advice. Yeah, I'm a woman. I will probably have children at some point.
Amazing.
And I mean, I think it is true. I've heard that law is pretty good for maternity leave.
Right.
But I was just like, oh, this is the corporate job I can get that, you know, earns well, you know, looks good in society and will accommodate me being a woman. Great.
Right.
And didn't really think outside of that. I didn't know I could be an engineer. I didn't know I could, on the flip side, go and do something creative, like become a songwriter. We were constantly told, those are passions, you know, but you get your safe job. And I think I listened to society.
And your parents also pushed that, did they?
Yeah, definitely. I don't think I sort of overly expressed a passion that I was going to be this sort of chef extraordinaire, and they squashed it. It was more just that I was sort of taught that these are the routes you go down.
The safe path.
The safe path, you know, maybe get a qualification and then life should be okay.
Right.
And I think I just didn't really question it. And it wasn't until I sort of, I guess, started out in the corporate world that I realised I had friends that were doing really creative things or maybe not the sort of set trodden path, and they were doing really well in it. And I thought, oh, we always sort of got told at school and just society tells you that, oh, you know, if you go on to try and be an actor, you're going to be that one that's going to be the waitress for the rest of your life. And then I've got a friend that's suddenly in a West End show on the cover and her face is on a bus.
Yeah, amazing.
And you're just like, they aren't anomalies. If you work really hard and are really passionate, everyone I know that's pursuing the sort of creative sphere are doing really well. And I think I stopped listening to the set mode that
the naysayers.
The naysayers, exactly. And I thought, what can I do?
Amazing. So tell me about your first steps of thinking, because I know you said from the supper clubs they became really popular, and you're like, oh, holy smokes, there's a business in this.
Yeah.
So how did you start establishing this business? We're in a cafe, guys, and I always try and make sure the sound is as good as I possibly can, but sometimes you get people playing pool, right? You get coffee. The question I guess I'm asking is, what were your first steps, and is this a traditional first steps when anyone's thinking about starting up their own business?
So I guess mine isn't the traditional in the sense you sort of chatted about my little safety net I've got of the sabbatical year. What I would say is, if anyone is in a similar position, you're in a sort of, you've got a corporate job and you're thinking of making the leap, but it does seem a bit scary to leap from the very safe into the unknown.
A 6-figure salary? Ooh.
I'm not saying that at all. Absolutely not. But what I would say is just ask. Everyone is so surprised that I've been given the sabbatical. They didn't know that this was something could be offered, and to be honest, I didn't know either, but just ask. If you don't ask, you don't get. And I guess in terms of the steps of me going from that point, sort of discussing the sabbatical with my HR partner and actually leaving, was to think about how am I going to tackle this sabbatical year. And essentially I'm seeing it as a tester year, and for that reason I wasn't going to launch straight into a bricks and mortar sort of shop where I could sell my food.
Right, okay.
It's a tester year.
So that's the dream, having a brick and mortar store.
End goal, yeah.
End goal, okay.
Multiple, franchising. We'll get into that later.
We must.
But the way that I decided I wanted to tackle this sabbatical year was in the street food scene. And so what I started doing was applying to street food markets. And I started doing this before I left Deloitte.
Right.
What became very apparent was street food is a very saturated market, and the wait lists for lots of these markets are absolutely insane. A lot of markets aren't even taking applications anymore.
Right. Are there specific street food markets, or
yeah? So
is there like an organisation top that? How do you do this
there's
application
so many
process?
different types. So you've got, first of all, you've got your sort of private street food markets. Those are things like Borough Market. I think most people have heard of that in central London. You've then got these sort of designated spaces. It's like street food, but it's not like from a gazebo or a food truck. It's sort of like the Dineramas and the street feast areas. Yeah. And then you've got these council-run markets, which are your sort of local street food markets. It's not just street food. They also have other offerings, but you'll have street food amongst
arts and crafts and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
exactly that kind of thing, or a guy selling plants, that sort of thing. Yeah. And I decided to go down the council street food market route.
Is that the easiest of the three? I mean, or maybe that's not being fair when I say easiest.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say what's easier because there's sort of pros and cons for either.
Okay.
In terms of what's easier, things like council markets are definitely cheaper.
Okay. Because
it's a local authority run market. There's higher levels of administration, but equally because they are perhaps cheaper in terms of your pitch fee, the waiting lists are just insanely long.
Oh, I see.
And most of them aren't offering. But I was quite lucky in that I was looking at the various markets and seeing no spaces for applications constantly. And then I came across one that said, we are relaunching this market next year, and we are now taking applications for hot food. And I was like, finally.
Amazing.
I've just had door shut after door shut after door shut.
Regarding the applications aspect as well, if we can just still continue on this, does it matter of your produce?
Yes and no.
Okay.
No in the initial stage. However, the one thing that I found was my main challenge was markets want to be diverse. So if they've already got one Caribbean stall, they don't want a second. So I guess your produce matters in that respect. If you're offering a cuisine that is already being offered, they don't want to, well, for competition reasons, I guess they don't want to do that. However, the issue I found was I'm obviously trying to offer a unique spin on Caribbean food, and I often found, you've got all types of European cuisines because they consider that to be diverse. If there's a Eastern European stool and then there's a French stool and then you've got an Italian pasta stool, that's fine. But they lump African and Caribbean together, which which was my first hurdle. I learnt very quickly.
So you were saying about you eventually found a place that was accepting applications because they were relaunching.
Yes, and this is a market in Soho, which is a council-run market. Did my application, and like most councils, it took a little while to hear back from them.
How long does it take?
I sent this application in April.
Right.
I left Deloitte at the end of June, and I heard from them in August.
It's about 5-6 months, right?
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
I then had to go and pitch to them alongside other people in person.
Okay.
And I think this is maybe because they're doing a big relaunch as opposed to it being an already running active market.
What does pitch look like? Is it you have to bring the food so they can sample it?
Yeah, no. So actually nobody brought samples. Absolutely no one. Because we could watch everyone else's. And I remember thinking, I think I've missed a trick by not bringing samples, but I also didn't want to bring cold, because we had to be there at the beginning of the day and then pitch later.
Right.
I didn't really want to bring cold hot food. But I assumed that the guy doing the bakery would have brought cakes, and he didn't. So nobody brought samples. But no, they wanted to get a feel for how we would fit into their independent market. I guess they're not looking for huge companies that are just going to put a sort of an outlet there. They're looking for brand new startups. They wanted to hear our story. They wanted to hear why our produce is unique and what we're kind of bringing to the area to maybe make their market the crown jewel in the area.
So from a pitch perspective and just an application, I think we can pretty much almost extract. They want to know your background, your story. They want to know how it's unique and differs to the others and how that potentially can help them and their platform.
Exactly.
And their environment,
Exactly that.
Okay.
The reason why I'm bringing up this particular market is because after the pitch, I got chosen.
Amazing.
So, which was great news.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And I'll be starting at this market in Soho, Berwick Street Market, at the end of November / beginning of December.
Oh, wow. So pretty much now.
Yeah.
Oh, I say that now. Forgive me. I don't know when this is going to come out. So
maybe we re-edit this.
Maybe I just bump this up in the queue.
In a few weeks' time is what we can go for.
Oh, brilliant! Congrats.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so that in itself, what were the were there any challenges within that, and how did you overcome them?
From the jump, the way they sort of scored us, our criteria before I even got to the pitch level. One of the questions, and this weighted your result by 40%, which is a significant amount, was, have you traded before?
Right, gotcha.
Nope. Novice. So straight away, I was minus 40. Pleased to say I nailed the rest of the 60, and I think that's the only reason why I got a shoe in. But that was off-putting when I filled that form out initially, because I thought, how am I ever going to get somewhere if there's a weighting on me having done it before,
having had experience prior.
It's that typical joke. People say they want someone aged 21 to join the company with 47 years experience. I thought, oh no, even outside of the corporate world it's like this. But I actually understand why they ask these questions. They want to know that you're compliant with health and safety food regulations. It's really important to not give people food poisoning.
Yes.
And I think these are mistakes that people make early on in their street food careers, having spoken to lots of people, and people maybe cut corners because it's cheaper, and you get, I think, quite a heavy-handed sort of fines or at least repercussions from council if you don't follow these strict guidelines, understandably. And so they sort of ask these questions about your experience, because if you have then proven that you have traded, they then go into your history of your your hygiene ratings and all these things, which
tell me
makes
about
sense.
Tell me about that, though, because I don't know anything about that regarding health and safety and hygiene ratings. I mean, I see it in the vinyls, the stickers and restaurants, but I'm assuming I hope you know.
Yeah, so because I haven't started trading yet,
Right.
I'll be assessed when I do.
Okay.
Yeah. However, before I started, I had to sort of show all my food level hygiene certificates. I've
Where'd
done.
you go for those? And
So
stuff?
one example is, and this company are great. They're called NCAS.
NCAS.
NCAS, so the National Caterers Association for Street Food and Caterers. So they're sort of an all-encompassing resource. They give support, they give discounts on equipment, they do online training.
Amazing.
Absolutely any question you could ever have about catering, whether that's starting up or even just maintaining it, they've got you covered.
Okay.
So
guys, as always, I'm going to throw that in the show notes. Awesome. Hey, keep at it.
Yeah. So I became a member of NCAS. They advised me on the correct equipment I should have, the safest equipment. They give you gas safety training, all these things that you maybe haven't considered as a non-street food trader. They just make sure you're absolutely covered. And then I completed all my food hygiene certification online with them, got sent out my certificate so anyone can see when I do start trading that, I'll hold up my certificate. They can see that I'm compliant, and just for public perception, that's important to know that
sure.
You are handling their food with care.
Yeah, I'm not going to poison them or give them any sort of... Anyway, I'm curious though, money, because you just mentioned equipment, you mentioned a lot of training and stuff.
To be honest, it's cheaper than people think, perhaps. You can definitely beg, steal, borrow equipment. I personally went for just...
Don't steal, by the way, guys.
Yeah.
Just throw that in the mix. It's a saying, it's an expression.
Yeah, it's definitely just an expression. I'm still bound to the accountant's code of ethics. I promise I don't endorse stealing. Where was I? Completely
No,
lost
apologies. You said in regards to just equipment, and we're talking money and how it being...
Yeah, so I think it obviously depends on what kind of cuisine you're going for on street food, but I've kept it pretty simple. I've got my gas grill to grill my jack chicken on.
Nice.
I've got my bain-maries.
Guys, I wish I had video. The way Fee said that, she looked at me. She always did an Elvis sort of quip. My jerk chicken.
My jerk chicken.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yes, you got your gas grill.
I've got my bain-maries, which are essentially it's for holding hot food at safe temperatures. Other people maybe use chafing dishes, which are a sort of a more manual way of holding hot food with candle heat, but it's not consistent. And I just wanted to hit the ground running, being fully compliant, not cutting corners. And that was something I wasn't prepared to compromise on, because rice, believe it or not, is one of the number one causes of food poisoning.
Really?
Because apparently, I've learned so much about rice, you wouldn't believe. The different pockets, the gaps around the rice, allow different temperatures to form. And that's the reason why food poisoning occurs. And with something like a chafing dish, it's really hot at the bottom, but it's not consistent all the way through. Yeah. And whilst I think you're allowed to use chafing dishes, it's not best practice. So I just decided with my equipment, I wanted to go in straight away with best practice. I just don't want to cut corners when it comes to people's health. And so I'd say all in with equipment, you're looking at about... And your gazebo and your tent and everything.
Which I've gone for branded as well?
Branded, yep. So I've gone for the gazebo rather than the food truck.
I see. She went for the Rolls Royce. No, I'm joking. I don't know
no, the food truck is the Rolls Royce. So I've gone for the Peugeot 206.
No offense to Peugeot 206.
I had a Peugeot 206, which is why I went for that one. All in about 4 or 5K.
And you saved up, I assume, or did you take a loan, a small business loan or anything like that?
Saved up.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Again, it helps to be in a corporate environment, doesn't it? It really does, clearly. Okay, so I'm going to give you the free rein before we get into the light fire questions and whatnot. But is there anything, if you look at it from my audience perspective, since we're having a conversation, is there anything that they need to be aware of if they themselves wanted to start a street food business?
Yeah, I think, character is kind of important.
Okay, explain what you mean.
Essentially, it's tough work. I think a lot of people think selling street food is really easy. They think you just turn up at a market,
and if people want to buy it, they buy it.
People want to buy it and you serve them, but it's very, very, very labour intensive. It's just small things like Like the gazebo, it weighs about 50 kg. Now, I weigh 50 kg, and I like to think man goes gym and all that, but like,
and all that.
but it's tough. It's tough. I can do it by myself, but it definitely helps to have someone setting up the equipment with you. You know, I'm carrying really heavy duty metal tables back and forth. And the other thing is with street food, is we live in the UK.
Yeah.
Everyone knows it's not sunny every day.
Ain't sunny every day.
It's freezing cold. It's dark in the mornings. You just have to be resilient. It's not glamorous. It's just not glamorous at all. And I think people get into street food because they've heard about the sort of street food success stories like Daddy Donkey. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're a Mexican burrito brand that started off as a street food truck and now have some outlets.
Okay.
And so sort of most people are going for that vibe, not realizing that Daddy Donkey started off at 4 a.m, like driving down with their food truck, carrying things in the rain, in the snow. People need to be aware of that side of thing because that's never talked about.
No, I hear that. Agreed. Okay, so tell me about Lime Hut, and then let's see how we collectively can help not only support where we can go and whatnot, and just, make it become the beast that it ought to be.
Thank
you. Yeah, how does it differentiate itself amongst other foods? And I guess this was what you did when you were pitching, right?
Yeah, exactly. So what is Lime Hut?
Yes.
Essentially, it takes inspiration from the foods and spices that I found growing in my granddad's yard in the West Indies. So my dad's parents are from Jamaica and my mum's parents are from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So I took inspiration from both of their gardens, what was growing in there. And I thought about how inherently they're healthy, but the cooking methods we traditionally use to cook them is not healthy.
Okay.
And so it was addressing this balance. Essentially, it's inspired by those flavors and spices, but offering a modern, healthy twist on it. So just as an example, plantain or plantain, that's always a debate.
Yes,
always a
You
debate.
saw me, my eyes went,
I'm going to stick with plantain.
Okay.
But plantain is typically deep fried, loads of salt. I just pan fry it in coconut oil. It's about changing the methods of cooking, not necessarily taking away from the flavor itself. It's taking staple ingredients like jerk, Scotch bonnet, ginger, coconut, these flavors, but remixing it in a healthy, modern, almost like a metropolitan way, I guess. I feel like our generation, more so than our grandparents, actually care about health and fitness more. Obviously not everyone, but as a whole, the statistics show that millennials are leading the way for healthy eating change. And I just don't see why healthy eating has to be kale.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I'm absolutely with you. So that's how you differentiate yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the dream for it?
The definite end goal is to get a permanent shop establishment. The reason why I say shop rather than restaurant is it's aiming for that lunchtime market. I guess a high street equivalent of your Pods, your Leons.
And the thing with them is they know how to systemize really well. And by that, I mean the quality control and also the methodologies in making the product so they can actually scale, can't they?
Exactly.
And they can become a franchise and the likes of.
Exactly.
So is that something that you're working towards as well?
Yeah, so
feedback
scalability is really important, and that's what we're going to be honing in on this year as well. I mean,
you keep saying we. I love it. Are you using a royal we?
I'm using a royal we.
Okay, brilliant. No, I love that. Because I thought, oh, maybe she has more than one.
That said, I do have. Whilst I am a sort of self-starter entrepreneur, I do have a team of people that are supporting Lime Hut. I also have a team of students that I mentor that are also my staff, and it's really awesome. When I say we, I'm talking about them as well. They're a really great bunch of kids. I've been mentoring for about 10 years, and it just made sense to work it into our business model, which is Lime Hut Helps. I'm going off into a complete tangent here.
Lime Hut Helps.
Yes, where essentially I mentor sixth form students and university students from historically underrepresented backgrounds in the corporate world. Well, not just the corporate world, I think any world, media, most industries, I believe, there's representation is an issue. And so I mentor these kids from an academic point of view and also professional point of view, whether that's CV writing workshops to if they've got a goal, and we'll set measures as to how we'll track their progression and get them towards their goal. I was doing that before I even started Lime Hut, and so we've just worked it into the model that they work for me as well. So they're my lovely waiters and waitresses that you'll see if you ever come to our supper clubs, or even to the street food market when we get started up. But equally, they're getting some mentorship as well. My end goal would be to ensure that we sort of have a constant rotation of, we've got these sixth form students that are really bright and energetic, and we build them up with confidence that they can go on to the unis of their choice or into the industries of their choice if they're not going down the academic route, and that they'll just flourish and be awesome human beings.
Yeah, no,
basically.
100%. Here to that. You're echoing pretty much the ethos of Blacticulate as well. But I'm wondering, where did that come from for you?
I suppose, so I grew up in Berkshire, well, the Reading area, and my aunts run an after-school club called Reading Black Women's Group After School Club. It was basically a place for all of us kids whose parents were working to sort of have a safe place to play and also learn about our culture after school.
Amazing.
And it also ran through the summer holidays and Easter, all that kind of stuff. Admittedly now, most of the kids there aren't black, but when I was growing up in the 90s, pretty much all of us were black, apart from Tom and Sarah. They rode with us. Shout out to Tom and
Sarah, even though that's a very generic name, so if they're listening, assume it's you. It is you.
And my aunts got in touch with a school called Dolphin School, who were basically offering scholarships for young, bright black kids to go to their prep school. So that's essentially a school that goes from Montessori nursery up to age 13.
Amazing.
And
Does it still go on? Do you know?
Dolphin School. Yeah.
Amazing.
It's a really, I don't know, when you go to your school, you don't realise it's different to other schools, but we had no school uniform. We called teachers by their first names. It was a cool place to learn. We were always on adventures, school trips up castles in Wales or visiting France. We were never in the classroom. It was a really, really cool school and grounding in education. But it was a fee-paying school, and a lot of us kids that got selected to do these tests to get into this school, our parents weren't absolutely rolling in it, and we needed bursaries. So my aunts basically spoke to the school, said that they had a group of bright young black kids and they understood the representation was important and that it'd be important for a group of us to go there, not just one of us. We took our exams and 5 of us started going to Dolphin School. And our parents used to carpool us because it was quite far from, it was on the complete other side of Reading, yeah. And Lenny Henry, his daughter went to this school. Lenny Henry and Dawn French, his daughter went to this school.
Okay.
And I've now come to find out later in adulthood that it was Lenny Henry that actually sponsored this initiative because he thought it was important that his mixed race adopted daughter have friends that look like her in her school.
It's important.
And growing up and finding out these things, I realised that I had a great grounding and an incredible education at Dolphin School. I then went on to get a full scholarship at a boarding school for my secondary school. Not to say that wouldn't have definitely happened without the grounding at Dolphin, but it definitely helped. It also opened my parents' eyes to this form of education. And because of that and everything that my aunts did and my understanding of what that meant for me and sort of how my life has gone since then, I just think it's really, really important that we address representation and that we build each other up. And having sort of key role models and mentors in my life, such as my aunts and my parents, and having other friends at my school that looked like me and was from the same social background as me and the same cultural background as me, was so important that I can't see.
You're paying it forward.
Yeah,
No,
I'm paying it forward.
I hear that. No, that's amazing. And yeah, it just goes to show that these are critical and essential, and we need to keep doing more of it. So, no, honestly, thanks for sharing that. That was amazing. And your answer, amazing. Lenny Henry is amazing. Blackness is amazing. You already know, guys.
Yep.
No, awesome. So, anything else that we haven't discussed before we go to the light fire questions, or can we jump into those?
Let's just jump into the fire.
Jump into the fire. Okay, so your answers don't necessarily have to be quick. Please make them. So, if you were to do a TED Talk on anything other than your profession, so not chartered accountancy or necessarily entrepreneurship, what would it be on?
That's such a hard question. And I meant to answer quickly, and I'm struggling so hard. I'm going to have to come back to that one.
Okay. Oh, what? No. Okay, let's go to the next one. So, if you had your last £5, what would you spend it on?
I'm someone that prefers experiences to things.
Okay. what £5 experience would you get?
I don't think I need to spend my last £5. I'd give it away.
Would you? Okay.
If there was a one-way ticket to a tropical island for £5, but that doesn't exist. No,
Wow.
I'd give it away.
Okay, brilliant. Another question I love to ask is, because Blacticulate is Black Action Articulate, is there any word in the English language that you dislike and why?
Ooh. I'm so bad at this quick fire round. There isn't a word I dislike.
There's not one that
You
makes
know how everybody hates the word moist? I don't hate it.
It's funny, actually. I've actually got someone did answer, I hate the word moist.
Loads of people hate the word moist. I don't have hate for any words.
Okay, brilliant. Insofar as success, who springs to mind when I say the word success and why?
When I think of success, I always think of my parents. Okay. Sounds pretty corny, but they grew up in the 60s in Britain as, the typical no dogs, no blacks, no Irish. And they've really built something special that I would love to emulate one day. I think they're just great role models.
Amazing. And the penultimate question before we find out how we can find you is, how would you like to be remembered?
I'd like to be remembered as adventurous and as someone that always wanted to give back.
Amazing. How can we find you, and when we do, what would you like us to actually do?
Yeah, you can find us on Instagram, Lime Hut London. Lime Hut London.
Okay, like the entire word London or LD?
Lime. Oh yeah, the entire word London. So lime_hut_London. But if you just type in Lime Hut, it should come up. Give us a like, give us a follow. We're also on Facebook and Twitter. Again, same Lime Hut. And in person, you should be able to find us on Berwick Street Market in Soho in a few weeks' time. So come on down and try out our lunchtime offerings. And if you can't make it on lunchtimes in Soho, we do monthly supper clubs in Islington and monthly brunches in Kensal Rise. So
amazing.
Just follow us to stay up to date on those and how you can get tickets.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So you mentioned your socials. Do you also have a website where we can get all this information?
Yes, www.limehut.co.uk.
So guys, please do share the love, and if there was anything I didn't ask Fee, because she's absolutely lit, you already know, please let me know, because always trying to become better, accountable to you all. So Fee, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you for your time.
And no, I really appreciate it. So hopefully we'll check back on you in a year's time.
And I'll still be doing my jerk chicken dance.
And you'll still be doing your jerk chicken dance. Hey guys, we really appreciate you listening, and if you have any feedback, please leave it in the comment section below. Also, all the info about the guests, the links and the resources we speak about will be in the description below. And last but not least, please do get in touch if you can teach us how you do what it is you do, because after all, Blacticulate is all about empowering and upskilling the community. Thanks guys, you're the best. See you soon.